Whoop whoop. Whoop, whoop. Welcome back to LHRPG, motherfuckers. If you watched the last episode, you know that she was gonna be here. If not, where the fuck you been?
I'm back, bitches.
So we hit session 4 of Never After today.
My first session?
Yeah, your first one. Spoiler free, what are your thoughts on the campaign so far?
I love it. I want to continue, like, today.
That's not an option.
Yeah, I know. I fucked his shit up.
You and Strife both.
We fucked his shit up. When do we not, though? It's either me
when
and
we're not
Strife,
playing.
or me and Tank, or me and Doyen.
It's always you.
Unless I'm not playing, and then it's Nexus.
Huh? Last time it was Strife.
Yeah.
So, before we jump in, once again, I just want to give a big shout out to Brennan Mulligan for giving us this amazing campaign to run through. It's very interesting so far.
Oh, yeah.
And shout out to our one fucking real one, motherfucking JPC.
He's
Whoop,
like,
whoop.
at this point, the #1 LHRPG official fan.
I love that motherfucker. So, without further ado, how'd we start off?
We were in the ocean.
Yep.
We had.
If you guys remember, we ended last session with the big bad wolf blowing them to Toy Island.
Can we say huffing and puffing? Because blowing sounds really fucking wrong.
He did. He huffed and puffed and blew you all away.
You have to be puffed.
That ability is actually called Huff and Puff. It's a reskin of the Gust spell.
Well, it worked. It did its job. And then I just had to go fuck everything up.
Yeah, so why don't we get into how this kicked off?
No.
I got my notes here
Doyen
in case
fucked
we
up
forget
first.
shit.
Doyen fucked up first.
I don't know if he did because he wasn't first in initiative order.
That's not what I'm referring to.
Okay.
I'm referring to the hot dog.
Oh my god, yeah. Okay. So they get the hot dog scene. If you sit out here for a minute, you can hear it. Oh, my wife is here. So at the very beginning, they're like, what are you, about 50 feet away from the dock of Toy Island? And right off the bat, Pinocchio notices the island, there's something different.
Yeah.
Like when he went there last time, it was just a regular island with like an amusement park type beat on it. And now he's seeing it, and it's a man-made island, and it's like almost deserted, right? And the only thing they see right off the bat is on the edge of the dock is a crate full of freshly cooked hot dogs. And so they also see on top of these hot dogs is a crate with a little piece of wood holding it up, and then some fishing line running from the stump to a cluster of barrels.
You know, the first thing that popped in my head was when you explained that part.
What?
Poopy's candy.
Poopy's candy. Poopy's candy. We're my Family Guy fans.
Right.
So, Prince Henry pulled a James Woods and went over there and tried to grab a hot dog.
I made him feel so stupid because after the whole ordeal was over with, I looked at him and I go, "Why didn't you use your frog tongue?" And he goes.
So anyway, he reaches in. Someone pulls the fishing line, and the crate comes down on him and traps him inside.
This fucking, 40, 50-year-old looking dude pops up wearing,
climbs out of the barrels.
like a sailor suit you would see on, like, a 10-year-old.
Yeah, it was very small. His midriff was showing.
Cutting into him. It's disturbing. He
Yeah.
has a fucking nasty-ass, bushy-ass beard.
Rotted to, as he calls them, his soft teeth.
They were rotten to the core.
He just mostly sucks the hot dogs down these days.
He's like, "You'll make a fine hot dog."
He goes, "I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna grind you up into hot dogs and eat you."
Is that the dude that thinks he's still a kid?
Yeah.
His clothes are way too small.
Yeah.
It was fucking great. And then he starts pushing this tube in to pump gas into the fucking
Great.
crate, and Doyen passed his roll, and other dude failed it.
Yeah.
So what ended up happening was he pushed the gas out to himself and knocked himself on his
Essentially, what
fucking
happened
ass.
was Henry grabbed one of the hot dogs and clogged the hose with it, so that as he's pumping it, it eventually backfires and hits him in his own face.
Did you
Um,
know it was gonna do that?
No.
Okay.
but like, essentially,
Shout out to Vixen, y'all.
eventually we all got up there on the dock. She said, "Woo woo."
She did.
We all get up there on the dock, and Pinocchio realizes that this is his old friend, Lampwick. That's his
Yes.
fucking name. You
Lampwick.
called him Candlewick.
Because that's what they call him in Brennan's game, and I've been watching it to prepare.
He's like, all right, so you see Lampwick, and and then he's done said Lampwick 5 fucking times before he goes, all right, and then Candlewick, fuck Lampwick. This is as bad as what do you tell the kids? Okay, be good, have fun.
Yeah, be fun. So.
Oh, shit. And he is like, I haven't seen you in 5 days.
Everything was 5 days.
And Pinocchio's like, it's been a year, and you look 40. What is going
He
on?
goes, I'm a little boy.
It's been 5 days.
Funny part, British group, they knocked his ass out, right? And then after he comes to, he looks at Pinocchio and goes, it's been more than 5 days.
That's almost as good as how you were fucking dying when I was flipping out about the princess.
We'll get there.
We'll get there.
We'll get there.
Oh, that's your
Spark
new
him if you got
catchphrase.
him.
That is your new catchphrase.
Oh,
we'll get there. You say that to everybody at least one point.
I do.
Every
We'll
game
get there.
night. Whether it's a recap or during the game diary.
Hashtag not sponsored.
Yeah, exactly. Ain't heard that in a hot
I ain't
minute.
said that in a minute.
Oh shit. But things started to get a little more serious when we saw this woman in what looked like, pirate outfit
Mhm.
with red hair. And
Oh, you were warned about her presence by Lampwick. You
Yeah.
remember what he called her?
the quiet lady.
The quiet pirate.
The quiet pirate, and now I understand why. But she was fucking with some bones, wasn't
Mhm.
it? And
Donkey teeth.
on the other end of the dock, and he said to be careful of the quiet pirate. And so we were like, let's go check it out. So we went over there to go talk to her because we had went there looking for Ariel.
Mhm. You didn't know her name at this point.
Well,
though.
the mermaid princess.
Yeah.
And, so we go to talk to her. All except Doyen, who decided, I'm going to go in this shop.
The cigar and funnel cake
It
shop.
was like right next to where she was.
Yeah. He sees her, knows that's the objective, and goes, I'm gonna go to this store instead.
Yeah.
Your typical D&D player.
Right? So, we were trying to talk to her, and she has this little tote bag with like toys in it.
Yep.
And she pulls this X out and puts it to her throat. And my dumbass, like pirate, I'm like, X marks the spot? And Nitro's like, no.
No.
I can't believe it. It was fucking Tink that caught on so quickly
Right.
that time. Because anything else she couldn't catch on to. But that, she goes, she can't talk. I was like, damn, made me look stupid.
How'd that feel?
I gave her shit about every other
Y'all
thing.
swap places for a minute.
Right. It got fixed pretty quickly.
Yeah, she went back to reliable old Tank very soon.
Right. So Strife ended up giving her some paper and a quill
Mm-hmm.
so she could write to us. And she told us that she was hiding from her father
Mm-hmm.
and that her voice had been stolen by a sea witch.
Mm-hmm. And that she was trying to find said witch.
Well, that part came later.
Did it?
Yes.
Okay.
We'll
We'll get there.
get there. So, yeah, she was hiding from her father. And, we were asking her questions and everything. And
Oh,
she was
real
in
quick, for anyone in the comments that wants to talk shit about me smoking a blunt on my show, fuck off. Continue.
Okay, the way
We have a history of people talking shit about us for smoking on camera.
we also have a history of people being very inappropriate in our comment section.
Oh my god.
Dude, look at the way the shadow is behind me. It looks like I have a long ass mullet.
It does. Party in the back. Anyway.
So, you know, we're asking her questions about why she's on the run and shit, and first of all, every time she moves, she winces. Like, she is obviously in pain. I don't know if y'all have gathered by now that this is Ariel. And for anyone who knows the original Grimm's Brother fairy tale, when she got her legs, every time she walked, it felt like she was stepping on broken glass. It was like
and it shot all the way up the legs.
So like that's the pain she was wincing. Did she keep wincing from that pain the whole time she
Every
was
time
with
she
us?
was moving, yeah.
I feel so bad.
It's never ending. The only way to get rid of the pain is to get rid of the legs.
Right. 'Cause, like, I wanted to do something, but there was nothing I could do.
The only way to really help is try to make sure she has constant transportation where she doesn't have to walk.
Like a wheelchair or something. But the whole point was she wanted her legs to be on land, you know. So anywho, Zers, she informs us that she fell in love with a man,
Uh-huh. A human.
a prince, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And
Prince Eric.
she traded her voice to a sea witch to be with him, and I don't remember if she knew exactly what happened, but she knew that he ended up leaving her for her sister.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, as we're talking to her, she informs us via paper that she can't touch the water. She has to get to dry land. She's stuck on this dock because if a princess touches the water, her father will know and he'll come. And at the same time, me and Strife looked at each other and went, fuck! Because Princess Aurora just got flung into the water. So as we're like, okay, let's get in the boats and get the hell out of here, fucking King Triton shows up. And I thought I was being smart. I thought I was being clever. I was like, yo, they're stuck in the water. If I do destroy water, then they're just gonna be flopping around on fins. They ain't gonna be. No.
Didn't take into account how deep that
I did
ocean
not.
was.
And he had moved up under one of the docks near us, so I was like, I'm gonna hit right on him, and it's gonna stretch out this way. Well, it also went down, but
Took
it's
part
like
of the dock.
miles of the ocean, so he
Yeah.
just landed in more water. And the dock went with him, and so did Doyen. And Doyen's in the shop.
Poor Doyen. Oh my god, hang on, I got it. This boy, oh, I love my nephew so much. So Prince Henry's in this cigar shop, loading his pockets up, because
Fucking eating
everything's
funnel
free.
cake and shit.
And so he feels like the shop go, and he falls out onto the dock just as the dock is tipping up, and he slides. He has no clue what's going on. Slides into this pit she's created in the water and lands right on Triton's trident.
Did he roll a 1 on his save,
He
his
didn't-
deck save?
I don't think he got a deck save.
I think you tried to give him a deck save to like grab on,
Oh, so yeah, he must
and
have failed it.
he rolled like a 1, and you were like,
Yep, that's
"You're
why he got
landing on the
stabbed.
trident."
Yeah. He didn't take too much damage from
Dude,
it, though.
everyone looked at me and was like, "What the fuck?"
She's like, yeah, I thought it was a good
I
idea.
was like, "That did not go as I planned it. I promise."
She wasn't thinking about physics.
I was not.
She thought it would just be a void. Or I guess she thought the ocean is only 30 feet deep.
I wasn't taking into account the depth.
I know.
So like I'm standing
So
with
she pulled
Ariel.
the tank twice.
I'm standing with Ariel trying to protect her, and I just fucking sacrificed Doyen unintentionally. And Doyen thinks on his feet. I was proud
Oh my
of
God,
him for this.
this was awesome.
King Triton said something about getting to his daughter. And he's like, cool, I'll help you. Let me go. And Triton's like, okay.
Throws him up there.
And as soon as he gets up there, he's like, magic missile, magic.
No. Triton gets him off he pulls his trident out and he goes to throw him, and as he's launching him, he touched him.
Oh, that's right.
with
He
the
smacked.
patches.
He put two of them on him, and all you hear is
Boom.
boom.
And he
This
gets
fucking
launched.
frog man goes. And he took the damage too. He's like, I'm okay with that.
Anyone that didn't pay attention last episode, Prince Henry, who Doyen is playing, the Frog Prince, has found this cloak of stars, and he can pull the star patch off, and it's basically a 5th level magic missile. So he put 2 of these patches on
Did you have
him
to roll like 7d4 or some
per
shit?
patch. So he did 14d4 damage.
And then he threw another one. After he was up there, he turned around and threw another one.
Anyway.
Triton was fucked up.
I'll tell you this. That was the Marrow's hit points. Okay?
Oh,
The Merfolk had less hit points than that.
fucking Strife used his wild shape.
No, Pinocchio used his wild
Okay,
shape.
Strife-
Strife doesn't have that ability.
Strife as Pinocchio chose for Pinocchio to do his wild shape,
Yes.
to turn into a dire wolf, and made himself look like the big bad wolf. And attacked one of the fucking shark men.
Yep.
What was it Tink did?
I don't know what everyone did on each round.
I don't remember.
There's only like 3 or 4 rounds.
She wanted to do something with King Trident. She wanted to do
take
something with
his
King
trident.
Trident, but
King Trident?
that's what his name was.
No, King Triton.
Triton, whatever the fuck.
She wanted
It's
to
right
take
here.
Triton's,
What the fuck is wrong with me?
She wanted to take Triton's trident.
But the best part is, something happened before her. She was last in initiative.
Yeah, she rolled in that one on her initiative. I was gonna have you guys end the session by rolling initiative, but I was like, I'll just let them do it when we start.
Yeah. So, all the other players are done. The NPCs on the board are all done. She's like, all right, I've been planning what I'm gonna do. And he goes, wait.
Yeah, because you see the initiative order there?
And up comes the fucking terrible dogfish.
You want to show them? And grab a mini so they can see the scale.
So-
Here, grab Triton.
This is the terrible dogfish.
Well, that's how much of it was sticking out of the water.
This is King Triton.
Show him how he fits when he came up.
So the terrible dogfish comes up out of the water, and that's the name that Geppetto gave it.
Yes, and Triton is like right here.
So it comes up and it's just, and it fucking eats his ass. And Tink goes, aww. And we're like, awesome, he's gone. And she's like, but I wanted his trident. I don't think we've laughed this much on a game diary in a while.
This was a fun episode.
It really
We had a
fucking
lot
was.
of laughs. And I'm not talking about from Doyen shitting on everyone.
He did. He shit his pants so much he got a penalty.
By the way, I'm gonna forget if I don't say it now. You were asking why the last episode is called Yuga Booga. It's because last episode is when they found out about the Baba Yaga.
Who called her Yuga Booga?
Doyen could not say Baba Yaga. He called her Yuga Booga.
I noticed he didn't even try to say her name today.
Yeah.
Every time we'd talk about her, like when we were talking about the Rapunzel scene, that's coming. He was like,
We'll get there.
wait, so that lady has no, like he just said that lady, and I'm like, no.
Yeah, he called her Yuga Booga.
And now I get why he just said that lady all night. Oh, it was great. So King Triton is gone. So we're fighting the other guys.
We'll get there.
And Tink goes, shouldn't they back off since he's dead?
I'm like, why would you think that?
Well, like that's not how that works. They're trying to drag her back. She is next in line. They're gonna try to force her to be queen. And she's like, but he's dead. Like that's
It's like, this isn't the Avengers. Taking out the leader doesn't make all the minions die or run
Right.
away.
So we had to explain this to her like 3 times, and she was finally. I don't think she even quite grasped like what we
I
were
think
trying
she
to
just got
explain.
tired of us repeating ourselves.
Because instead of having her, oh, she did this, she did this. She was taking notes, and she's like, okay.
She couldn't quite grasp the fact that because the leader died, his minions weren't backing down.
Right. I guess we fought too many hive-minded situations.
I guess.
So.
Even though we haven't really done that.
So, like, they started fighting the NPCs, you know, different ones at different times. I stayed with Ariel. I was protective in front of her because if any of them got too close to her, I was going to do the Briar thing to get them the fuck away, you know.
Yeah.
My goal was keeping her safe because she is the one we went there for.
And she let it be known that she didn't want to go back.
Fucking Dwayne ended up back in the fucking water. And I love how he got
The
out.
minute
though.
he got out of the water, he got snatched back in.
I love how he got out though. He climbed into a boat.
So,
And on his next turn, he did his frog jump up to a fucking thing. And then dash jump over to us.
so here, grab one of them marrow for me real quick.
Shark
Essentially,
people.
yeah. So they're
Shark
fighting
people.
King Triton and 5 of his merfolk
Where's
soldiers.
the white one? It'll show up better on camera.
They're
I'm gonna
fighting.
grab our minis too.
Cool. 5 of these fish people that they're called marrows. Marrow is still plural for marrow. And then the terrible dogfish, aka a megalodon. Now,
Real quick.
like they've seen you guys before, but you can show them off again if you want, I guess.
Pinocchio.
Strife,
Puss.
Tink,
Prince Henry.
Dorian,
Princess Aurora.
Jade.
And then I wanted to show off these. This is what Ariel looked like.
Nitro.
And this one I'm not going to show just yet.
Because she came later.
Exactly.
I loved her intro, by the way.
Did you give him a close-up shot of King Triton?
Yes.
Alright.
So, they're
You got to do
At the same
intro
time.
when we get there.
at the same time they are fighting the merfolk, the marrow, and the dogfish.
Yep. So eventually, because I don't remember all the individual attacks, but
yeah, we're
eventually
just gonna cover what
the
is-
important shit.
Yeah.
Eventually Strife ended up doing,
Excuse me.
what was it, Animal Friend?
Animal
Or-
friendship on the dogfish.
On the dogfish.
And it has an intelligence of 0.
Before that, the fucking thing come back up out of the water and sprayed fucking hot mist at us.
So it comes up its second time, and it
King
opens
Triton-
its mouth,
King Triton.
and you see King Triton climbing his way out of the throat, just as it uses a steam breath weapon and vaporizes his
Like you see
ass.
him like, ah! It's
The
like-
poor dude. He just couldn't catch a break.
You know what it made me think of? Right before the steam breath got him, but when he was climbing out, you know what I thought of? Dragonheart. When he's got the sword in the dragon's mouth, and he's like, alright.
My fish come wow. So, this shit's going on. Ariel summons like 4 giant octopi to
Like
come
literally
help.
just pulls out a fucking conch shell and all these fucking octopi come up, start
snatching
snatching
them off the dock.
motherfuckers.
It's great. So,
And I think the intro we were talking about happened about that time.
It was after.
Because my next turn, we had been knocked into the water from that steam thing, from the dogfish, and I used my turn because on Ariel's turn, after she did the conch, she told me through the paper I need to find the sea witch. So on my next turn, I pulled out my magic
Yeah, but
mirror.
the mirror wasn't the intro.
No,
The intro came after.
I know, I'm leading
You want
up
to talk
to it.
about the mirror real quick?
Yes.
Okay.
So on my next turn, I pulled out my magic mirror that I got from Cindy Raleigh,
Mm-hmm.
and I told it to show me the sea witch, and that's how we got.
That's still not her intro.
Yeah, that was her
No.
first line.
Yeah, but it wasn't the intro. The intro is when you saw her
All right,
physically.
we'll do her first line real quick.
She said she was coming to help the princess. That's all she said.
But there were two different princesses there,
Mm-hmm. So y'all didn't know for
so
sure.
we were like, "The fuck."
Anyways, long story short, the octopi start eating some of the bad guys. Pinocchio gets the dogfish to hook one of the bigger platforms and carry them away from everyone.
And as soon as we get away,
At that point is when they see Ursula, the sea witch, rowboating toward them at lightning speed, going, "I'm here to help you out of here." Oop, I'm late. I'm too late. Yeah, she's Scottish.
all right, and this.
Oh my God, Brennan's group, right? She starts talking, and the altercation starts, right? And fucking Mother Goose, Allie fucking Beardsley,
Fucking love
as
Allie.
Mother Goose, looks at Ariel and goes, "So what's the deal with her? She's Scottish?" And Ariel goes, "Exactly, you fucking get it." And Allie just goes, "Okay, I think this is going in a direction I don't want to go."
I fucking love Allie.
It's great.
So this.
Just keep in mind, in
Is
their
Ursula the
game,
sea
Mother
witch.
Goose is an old gay man.
Yeah, you told me.
And they were talking to Ariel through the message stuff.
Yeah. So as soon as she gets there, she climbs on board, and like I had stepped in front of Ariel, all protective, like, and this bitch is like, whoa, like starting to fucking. I'm like, no.
She was
No,
going
no.
at her. Had her saber drawn and
Yeah,
everything.
I was like, no, Ariel, no. And she's like, I'm like, no, we got this.
I think she wrote out something like, "Talk it out, this fucking guy." Because Puss is like, well, she said she could explain. She's like, "This fucking guy."
Fucking Ursula is over here. I'm not come to fight.
She's like, "I can explain." Essentially, she explains that because she does give Ariel her voice back before she starts to explain herself. And Ariel's like, you took my voice.
Oh, let's be realistic. She was like,
She's like, "No, I bought your voice. It's a fair deal. You understood it when you made it." And Ariel goes, because she couldn't argue with that.
oh my god, I tried to be nice. And I kept failing my spell rolls.
Oh my God.
So I was like, do you need a drink?
Oh my God.
Obviously, I had control and destroy water. We've
Create,
seen this.
destroy water.
Or create, destroy. And I was like, do you need a drink? And she's like, uh-huh. And I was like, okay, open your mouth.
She was right to be skeptical.
She's like, the I was like, just trust me. Just trust
She
me.
shouldn't have.
I had tried to create water, like cool, refreshing, fresh water.
Like super soaker into her mouth
And-
with it.
I failed the roll. Not enough for it to be super bad, but low enough for it to not turn out the way I wanted. And instead, she got hot water. And she's like, thanks. And Nitro goes, you realize if you got a 1, you would have just shot the salt water into her mouth.
So essentially, Ursula breaks down what happened between her and Ariel. Tells why she made the deal with Ariel. Do you remember why that was?
Because Ariel was in love with the prince, and she wanted to kill the prince. She was going to have Ariel do it.
Do you remember why?
No.
Are you ready for the pettiest shit you've ever heard?
Yeah.
Because his grandfather was rude to her once.
I love this Scottish bitch. Aurora don't, but I do.
His grandfather was rude to me. It was bad.
So.
But Ariel wouldn't go through with it because she loved him. And so she just turned to one of Ariel's sisters who traded her hair instead of her voice, which there's wigs. You can
So
hide that.
he left Ariel to go bone her sister.
And then she killed him.
Yeah. So Ursula's like, you know what? Maybe I should give this chick her voice back. It's only fair.
It's like she didn't get what she paid for.
Right.
Refund.
Yeah. It's like, oh, you didn't get your product? Here's your money
So
back.
she had Ariel fix up the raft while she talked to you guys because Ariel was not in the know on all this fictional character shit.
She actually seemed very much like she cared about Ariel. She didn't want her to have the fucking mental breakdown of learning the truth. And, you know, so she talked to us, and Aurora was very skeptical of her.
I mean, because originally Pinocchio just started talking about it, and Ursula cut him off. And she's like, oh, Ariel, dear, why don't you, plug that hole in the raft, you know? And then y'all were looking at her, and she was like, she doesn't know. I think it's a bit too much for her right now.
Yeah, so what ended up happening was, I grilled her a little bit. And then I mentioned...
She had a legit answer for everything,
Yeah.
though.
And I mentioned that we were going to our sisters, talking about the princesses.
Mm-hmm.
And
Which she knew about.
she didn't like it.
At all.
And she told me a story about Baba Yaga and Rapunzel.
And how does Ursula know Baba Yaga?
Baba Yaga is Ursula's sister. And she said that Rapunzel's kind of the diplomat of the princesses.
She's the one that they go to if they need a social interaction.
Right.
She's very charming.
She essentially she told me a story about how Rapunzel had gone to Baba Yaga seeking aid, and at the beginning of their conversation, Baba Yaga told her, you know, we're gonna talk, and if you lie to me, I'm gonna rip your fucking tongue out. And you know, Rapunzel was very upfront and honest about everything.
Basically, she was seeking the witch's aid and fighting the fairies.
Yeah. Until right up at the end of the conversation, Baba Yaga asked her, she's like, now if I hadn't have threatened you with violence and had just trusted you to be honest, would I be holding your tongue right now? And instead of answering, Rapunzel curtsied and walked away.
Which kind of sat wrong with
Ursula.
Baba Yaga and Ursula.
Yeah.
Because if it wouldn't have meant shit to Baba Yaga, she wouldn't have told Ursula about
Exactly.
it.
Which we ended up parting ways with Ursula and heading on our way towards...
You want to talk about her awesome looking send-off? You can show them her mini now.
Yeah, I did.
Did you?
Yeah.
That mini has legs.
Yeah. When she left, instead of just getting back in the rowboat, this bitch jumps off the raft mid-air, fucking tentacles burst out from where her legs were, and she fucking dived into the goddamn water.
One of the minis that didn't get here on time.
I totally expected you to smoke a cigarette before smoking that up.
No. I ordered a mini of a sea witch with tentacles for legs. And
So you could swap them?
And it didn't come
That's
in
the
time.
one that you were saying didn't come and weren't going to be able to use?
Yep.
That's why you were being super vague about it. Okay. I had used the magic mirror to find where Cinderella and Snow White were.
Where were they?
They were at the Ice Queen's castle.
The Snow
in
Queen.
The Snow Queen's castle in Snowhold.
Yes.
And so that's where we set off to.
And who is the Snow Queen? I mean, she has white hair in a single braid. She lives in a palace
It's
made
Elsa.
of ice.
It's fucking Elsa.
It's Elsa.
But the problem is, we were a little on edge on the way because we knew, history speaking, the Snow Queen.
Mhm.
The Snow Queen was responsible for the destruction of both Henry and Puss's villages and castles. So they were already on edge, and Henry was straight up like, can we fuck this bitch up? Can we fuck this bitch up?
Puss didn't want to go.
Puss did not. So as we were getting closer, I checked on them again and found them in the castle on a balcony with the Snow Queen's head
Mounted on the
mounted
railing.
on the fucking railing.
It was like tied on with the braid.
And I looked at them and I was like, well, y'all ain't gotta worry about the Snow Queen no more. My sister's done fucked that bitch up.
It was dope.
Fucking Prince Henry's immediate response is, are they gonna rebuild my stuff? I was like, talk to them about that. I don't know. He never did.
He never did.
He never did. Puss didn't have to. We'll get to that.
We'll get there.
We'll get there.
Hashtag we'll get there. It's a new one.
Oh,
It's gonna be a thing.
But
We're gonna put it on a fucking t-shirt. They've done seen it a bunch.
So you take over for a minute while I get us more coffee.
Alright, so from there, you guys went to Snowhold.
Yep. We went to the. Oh, talk about what Puss noticed on the way.
Yeah. My darling sister is a selfish bitch. Okay?
That's not what I was referring to.
Don't matter. So, on the way to Snowhold, Puss notices a certain mule in the woods wearing a fake mustache. Recognizes said mule immediately. Anyone that watched the last 2 episodes will know who this is. This is Alphonse, Richter's mule, or Rickard's mule. I said Richter. That's from Total Recall. It's Michael Ironside's character.
At least you didn't say sphincter.
Oh my god. So, yeah, Sphincter's mule.
Or rectum.
The minute Rectum's mule sees them, he recognizes Puss and tries to dart off into the woods. So Puss is gonna go after him until he jumps off the carriage and he's like, wait here. And Aurora looks at him and goes, no.
That's not exactly how it went. Tink goes, I dart after him. And Nitro goes, alright, are y'all gonna stop? And I said, no, my carriage is going.
Because she's a selfish bitch.
And Tink looks at me, I was like, that cowardly motherfucker's gonna show up again and you know it.
Do you know it?
We'll see. If nothing else, I'll track him down with the mirror. That's a badass mirror. That mirror
It
came
is.
in handy quite a bit.
Oh yeah. So, yeah, because you see what I was saying now. It's totally so fucking easy to not know what you need to do next.
Yeah. I was hella confused quite a bit.
Because you guys are getting the clues out of order.
Dude, they're giving me a recap before we start playing.
Oh my god, that took like 2 hours.
But they're doing the recap, and Nitro adds some information, and I'm like, wait, and I'm piecing shit together, and he's like, can I finish? Because I told
can't
you.
count the number of times I would be narrating to someone other than her at the table, and she'd be like, and I'm like, fucking wait!
He and I were talking
I'm
about.
like, you're not here for this!
He and I were talking about this campaign like a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
And he had made the comment, I wish you were playing because they're not picking up on a lot of shit. I was like, is it like the stuff that I tend to piece together while you're talking? And he's like, yes, and they're not catching it. And I was like, okay. And tonight really fucking showed because they're all sitting there like, what? And I'm like, oh, okay. Like at one point he was talking to Strife about something. And Strive is just looking at him. And I'm like, and I was like, and I texted it to him, and he grabs his phone and goes, Stripe didn't pick up on that until I told him, by the way.
I know.
Like, way later on, and I told him, and he goes, I was like, I don't know how you didn't get that. And he's like, well, you know, I wasn't thinking that was any correlation. I was like, we discussed it earlier. And he goes, shit.
He also never thought about his doorknob. We'll get there.
You will get there.
He slapped himself on that too.
Yep.
Because it was such an easy fucking thing to think of. Like,
If my plan had happened, what I was formulating before he saved it, if he hadn't have done that and I'd have enacted that plan, that's exactly what I was gonna fucking do.
so hashtag we'll get there.
Hashtag we'll get there.
Basically, so they get to Snowhold. Snow White and Cinderella are waiting outside.
No. We got to the tavern first.
That's right. They go to this It's still in Snowhold.
Yes, but
Snowhold is a large fucking area.
Cinderella and Snow White, we're not waiting.
Shut the fuck up.
We get to Snowhold, we go to this tavern so we can have a meal.
This is why I normally have you do a lot of the talking. That was my chair.
Yeah.
Look. It's the chair
I
I'm
thought it
sitting.
was your chair earlier and it was Doyen's ass.
It really was. I'm
um,
gonna cut that off. I can't even fucking feel it. It's just background noise.
yeah. So we get
Thank
to
you.
Snowhold, we go to this tavern so we can have a meal and get a room for the night. And as soon as we walk in, we see these dwarves. Bear in mind, when I had used the mirror the first time to find Cinderella and Snow White, when we learned we needed to go to Snowhold, I'd seen the same type of fucking dwarves all lingering around.
And what
around
was
them.
different about these dwarves from
They're
the
like
dwarves?
dead. They're like undead. And so
you weren't here for the episode, and I don't think you watched the game diary on it. But those records they found from the Baron of Bricks,
yeah,
one of them was the different kings and the Council of Kings reporting on renegade princesses that can reanimate and control the dead.
yeah. So I was having a lot of fun with the princesses tonight.
I knew you would.
I didn't
know you were gonna do what you did, but I knew
I
you
got
were
on
gonna
a
have
roll
good
when I
time.
started piecing together who all the 7 princesses were.
Don't tell them about finding out certain things through the mirror about those princesses. I want that reveal to happen on this episode when we get there and you saw them.
Yeah, I wasn't going into detail on it right now.
Okay.
But, so I recognized, the dwarves, and my character, Aurora is 116 years old, but she has the mentality of a peppy 16-year-old girl who just...
Because she's been asleep for 100 years.
She just lost everything, but she's trying to be happy.
Right.
It's one of those fake it till you make it.
Yep.
And so she sees the dwarves, and she is so adamant and so excited to get to these princesses because they have claimed her as their sister. And in her mind, they're the only ones who understand what she's going through.
Now,
she has no fucking family.
I do feel the need to make the distinction, at least for the fans, for the people watching. The princesses aren't sisters the way the witches are sisters, or the way that the fairies are sisters.
Right. They claim each other as
they're all
their
princesses, so they say
they're like
sister.
sisters in arms.
Right. Whereas Baba Yaga and Ursula are sisters. The blue and green fairies are sisters.
Like, it's the difference between saying me and Nitro are brother and sister versus saying Tink is like a sister.
Right.
So the princesses are more like me and Tink, whereas Baba Yaga and the fairies are like me and Nitro.
Baba Yaga and Ursula. The fairies just with the other fairies.
You know what I meant.
You made it sound like the fairies and the witches were.
But you already clarified it, so shush. Anywho's, so I see the dwarves and I get all excited, and I used Tink as an example when I acted this out, and I went, dwarves, Snow White.
They started talking about, I think someone brought up the Snow Queen, and you were like, "They killed her, remember?" You know, and then that's when they overheard.
Yeah.
I rolled to see if they
Because
heard you.
I had made the comment about, my sisters killed her, remember?
Mhm.
And bear in mind, I'm wearing a fucking tiara on top of this. Fucking shredded ass pink dress. But they had this, what looked like a box covered in a tarp under their table too. But, they heard us and they're like, so our group kind of like shuffles over and I'm like,
I've never seen you smile as much as I have tonight.
I was so fucking excited. I was like a kid on Christmas in a candy store.
I'm telling you.
He
She's
was
like fucking-
laughing so fucking hard just because I was so excited.
She was like Charlie when he found the gold ticket.
Right. Fuck Charlie. I was like Grandpa Joe because I got a golden ticket.
Man, you just using the boy.
Right. Like,
You
dude, that ain't
get up,
yours.
couldn't get out of bed in 10 years, but you dancing like a motherfucker now.
Did you see the fucking SNL skit about it with fucking Kristen Stewart?
I don't think so. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah. Any hoosers. So we sit with them, and they start asking questions. What is it they started with?
They asked you about the Snow Queen because they heard you talking about her.
I think I told them, we were looking for Cinderella and Snow White, and they asked why, and I told them, that they were my sisters. And they looked at me and they're like, "Are you the Sleeping Beauty?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they're like,
Sit down. Let's talk. So they introduced themselves.
Yep.
Who
Now, it was Doc, Happy, and then Grumpy.
Uh-huh.
And when we sat down, Doyen started to reach for their crate, and Grumpy's like, and Doc was the one talking to us.
For most of it, yeah.
Yeah. But I don't remember exactly what it was that he described the death thing being, so you'll have to describe that.
So, Koschei the Deathless is another story.
Yeah.
And it's a knight who gains immortality by hiding his death. So he physically removes his death from himself, hides it in a needle, hides that needle in an egg, hides that egg in a duck, hides that duck in a hair, and hides that hair in a chest.
Yeah, and they got the chest.
They got the chest.
Essentially, this knight was going to be storming the Snow Queen's castle to take revenge on the princesses
for killing
the Snow Queen. And the dwarves managed to get his death, so he would basically be powerless against them. And they had a base camp set up right outside of the castle, and they had told us that they were going to be going back tonight to get the death to safety with the princesses, and they invited us to come with, and we were talking. And Doc mentioned that the only real enemies that the princesses had to take care of before moving on with what they were planning was the Deathless guy and the Baron of Bricks. And we're like, oh, that's already taken care of. And Doc lost his shit laughing. And then
I think it's because y'all brought up the Baron of Bricks, and that's why he laughed. And you were like, what? And he's like, that's their next objective.
Yeah. And then Pinocchio's like, oh, it's okay. The Snow Queen lost her head, and technically the Baron of Bricks did too when I caved it in. And Doc laughed even fucking harder. Like he was fucking clapping.
He's like,
and shit.
I like you.
Yeah. So we went back with them, and Cinderella and Snow White were out there. And as soon as they saw us, Cinderella came up and hugged me, and I introduced everyone to them, including Ariel, and we went inside and we kind of split off to do different things. Cinderella looked at my dress. She's like, "Oh, honey, we've got to fix this."
Yeah.
I was like,
now keep in mind, I knew this scene was coming, but the entire session up till now, she was like, "Can I find a new dress? Can I find a new dress?"
No, okay.
And I had to keep telling her, "Fucking wait a minute."
I had read my physical description, and it described my dress as being torn to shreds from the briars I was, encased in.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, I can't keep walking around like this. Like, this is not okay. I need clothes. So every time we go somewhere new or we were fixing to travel, are we going to pass a village? Is there a shop here? Where can I get a shop so I can get some clothes? And finally he goes, if you fucking wait, I'm getting there.
After like the 5th time.
So.
And each time I'm like, I promise you, we're going to get you clothes. I have a whole scene planned.
Yeah. So.
Like she had a whole like fucking 27 dresses montage. She just didn't know it was coming.
Right. Well, we like when we
I'm
got
way out of frame.
Yeah. When we were there, you know, they had made the comment, you know, let's get you guys inside. You must be freezing out here. And I made a joke about the dress, and I was like, yeah, this isn't really decent coverage. And that's when it was like, oh, we've got you. Come on. And they took me up to Cinderella took me up to the Snow Queen's room and went in her closet, and she was like, black, white, black, white, black, white. Pink! This is you. So I got a new pink dress.
You got some puffy shoulders on it too.
And a fuzzy collar.
A fur collar.
While I was getting
Should keep you nice and warm.
While I was getting changed and then having a conversation with Cinderella, Puss and Pinocchio and Ariel went to the library with Snow White. And
this is what we forgot to mention before that.
Yes.
The introduction of the
now
other princesses.
Now I can do that, right?
Just don't do it through the mirror. Tell them when they showed up at the castle.
I think they showed up shortly after we did, because while we were outside talking to Cinderella and Snow White, we heard the so one of the
you guys never talked to her about that either.
We did not get to, no.
Would you like me to tell you after we get through? Okay.
So one of the princesses that arrived was Belle from Beauty and the Beast. Only in this, Beauty is the Beast. So it's literally the Beast with what looks like a fucking caveman butt flap of what's left of her shredded dress from her morphing into the Beast. And then the other two that showed up were Rapunzel.
Mm-hmm. How'd she should make her entrance?
She's like Doc Ock walking with her fucking hair. It's great. But the last princess was none other than Prince Henry's wife,
Elodie.
Princess Elodie, which in modern ideas would be Princess Tiana from Princess and the Frog, but in this it's Princess Elodie. So the 7 princesses in total are Cinderella, Snow White, Rapunzel, Belle, Elodie, Ariel, and Aurora. And all the princesses got some badass skills, man, and abilities. Like, I thought I was cool. Snow White had me like, teach me that. I said that more than once.
Yeah. Alright, so now we can get to the library.
Yeah. So, well, I'm trying to start by letting them know where everybody was. So they were in there with Snow White and I want to say Belle.
Mm-hmm.
And then Rapunzel went to the kitchen to start cooking.
Mm-hmm.
And then Prince Henry hung outside in the hall for a minute so he could talk to Elodie.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm going to jump around so we can cover all of them.
Okay.
Cinderella helped me get changed. And then we sat down and we talked, and she let me know what their actual plan was.
Which was?
They weren't trying to rewrite the stories. They wanted to erase them completely. So we would all cease to exist, but it would force whoever was doing it to have to start anew completely.
And why did they want to do that?
I don't remember.
The princesses, y'all's stories, at least as far as your well-being is concerned, fucking suck.
Yeah.
Every single one of you is cursed or kidnapped or you have a real rough time. Cinderella was a slave most of her life.
It's essentially like that scene from fucking Wreck-It Ralph 2 where Vanellope meets the princesses and they're all like, were you poisoned, cursed, kidnapped, or enslaved? Yeah, like, that's... And she's like, are you guys okay? Do I need to call the police?
Especially in your story, you don't make a single decision in your story. Shit just happens to you.
I get cursed, and then I get raised my whole life to believe that a man is going to save me from the curse, but that I have to endure it, and then I'm forced to endure it until a man can come save me. And in this version, I never get fucking saved. And I wake up alone. No family, no friends, no love, no nothing. And the first people to understand what I went through are Cinderella and the princesses.
So what did you do when she told you this plan?
I joined them. Because in my character's situation at that point, in her mindset, that is the closest thing she's going to get to a family who understands her and understands what she's going through. It makes sense.
All right, so what happened with Henry and Elodie? She was cold.
He didn't help. So... you guys know how quiet Doyen is on camera. Normally at the table, he's more...
vocal.
Involved. Not tonight. Not in that scene. So...
no, I think I caught him off guard with what she had to say.
I don't remember the details. I know Elodie basically told him that she's glad that he's okay, but that they shouldn't have been together.
I'll put the most cold-blooded line she had out there.
From before he went silent?
Yeah. Are
Okay.
you ready?
Yeah.
This is what made him go silent.
Mm-hmm.
She said, what was the word? A stipulation had been met that should have never been met.
Yeah.
You should have been swallowed by a heron in that pond.
And then she goes
and
on...
that struck a chord with him because he, living as a decade from the time he was 10 years old, being forced to live in a pond as a frog, has seen many of his frog companions get eaten by these birds.
And, like, she goes on to tell him, you know, like, I'm glad you worked, and I care about you, but I've had a lot of time to think, and we should not have been together. And... yeah, Nitro's waiting for him to respond, and he's just sitting there. So long so that Nitro pulled out the fucking hourglass, and he still just sat there and let the bitch run out. So Elodie is like, well, since you have nothing to say, I guess we're done here. And she starts to walk away, and she tells him, it's funny, you fight for everything else except us, and fucking dips, and he shrinks back down into a full fucking frog.
The silence at the table when she said
fucking
that
Tink's
was
face,
deafening.
she was like she looked like she was gonna cry.
You covered your mouth.
Yeah, I was like, oh my god. I thought Doyen was gonna break.
He looked like he was about to cry.
Like his lip was quivering and everything.
I was like, is this the one that gets him?
Like, it wasn't Pac. Maybe it'll be Elodie.
Maybe.
So, you know, he is now full-fledged frog mode.
Oh, yeah.
Like, teeny tiny.
No, he's not. He's got more of a frog stature, but he hasn't
I thought he shrunk fully.
No, he's squat.
Okay, so
his form is more squatted. So
he's almost full-fledged frog mode.
If he gets to full-fledged frog... what you said?
Full-fledged frog mode.
That, I will switch his mini. I have a mini.
Did I really tongue-tie you with that?
Yeah. I have a different mini for if he goes full frog.
Full-fledged frog mode?
But it's a giant frog.
Try saying that 5 times
He would
fast.
be turning into a giant frog.
I thought he would shrink down.
Normally he would, but that's not what happened in Brendan's group, and I'm trying to stick as close as I can to the original story Brendan
Even though
wrote.
we keep fucking it up.
Man, y'all have no idea.
So, Eddie Hoosers, meanwhile, in the library,
Yes.
Snow White, the reason that Tink and Strife went to the library with the NPCs is because Snow White and Belle were headed that way, and Snow White noticed the book that Pinocchio had,
Mhm.
and told him, we've been doing a lot of research and we found some stuff on a book like that if you are interested. And so he decided to go with them. Puss decided to go with his friend, and Ariel went with them because it was the biggest group.
Right.
And so they get to talking about the book and the stories and everything, and Ariel gets caught off guard, and she's like, stories? So Puss tries to explain it to her.
She's like, I wanted Cinderella to do that.
I did. But so Puss tries to explain it to her, and she's like, you're fucking with me, right? And looks over at Pinocchio and is like, this fucking guy over here. And Pinocchio goes, and he's like, right?
Pinocchio?
So Snow White ends up doing this fucking brain thing on Ariel, and she clonks the fuck out for a while. And I was like, you've got to teach me that. Because by this point, me and Cinderella have joined the group.
Right.
And there was a book, and so has Henry. And there was a book on the table about the goose and the gander. And
there's a couple different books of note. One was about the goose and the gander. One was about the lines between.
Yeah. Henry got an actual visit from the gander in his mind while we were in there. And all we saw was him start fucking hollering at something that wasn't fucking there. It was funny.
And then yelled out goose 3 times in a row.
So, because like the gander's in his head going, where is she? She's not supposed to be here when I'm here. And he's like, who? And he goes, where is she? And Henry's like, who? Like 4 fucking times before we're finally like, dude, the goose. And it clicks in his head, and he's like, you mean the goose? And the gander's like, arr. He's like, oh, you don't like that? Goose! And as soon as the gander goes away, he looks at me and goes, I need to talk to you.
So keep in mind, all she sees is this. Who? 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 You mean the goose? You don't like that. Goose! 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 I need to talk to you. It's great.
I'm losing my voice because I've laughed so much tonight.
And this is the horror season.
And some of the implications, some of the moments, when, because you were right. You were like, the implications are worse than anything. And I was like, okay, well,
Technically donkey.
Yeah, so like, he'd say something and I'd be like, what the fuck? Oh, God!
Hey, you two have got quiet. Damn.
Sorry.
I'm gonna tell Zoe to her.
Okay. Sorry about that. I got in trouble. We were being too loud. So, where were we? I need to talk to you. That's where we were. It was great.
He pointed at everything.
He did.
Oh, so, he wanted me to,
I'm like a side character on my show.
yeah, just because you have me do all the talking.
Because you have a better memory than I do. I'm a stoner.
We did a recap of a game one day while Nexus was here, and I went through pretty much everything in one breath without looking at my notes, and
It's for
Nexus,
Fantasy High.
yeah, Nexus looks at me like this. And looks at, he like, finished and he looked
She's
at
like,
Nitro,
what?
and he goes, she didn't even look at the notes.
I was like, yeah, she does it every session. Anyways.
So I was like, about?
And he says, the goose.
So he wanted me to use my mirror to try and find the goose. But I'd already used it 3 times, and I was like, I can in the morning after it recharges, and I sleep. And he's like, fine. I think after that, me and Cinderella went to the kitchen. Well, Pinocchio and Puss had went out first, and they were standing by the door, by the front door, and they saw us go to the kitchen. And
so they snuck over there to eavesdrop.
And they heard us talking, about what was really going on. And for a hot minute, they kept it to themselves, you know.
Yeah, Pinocchio, that lit a fire under his ass for a minute.
This is where things start to
go off the rails
and fuck up his shit. So I was not supposed.
All right, before we go any more detail, what was supposed to happen? Okay, according to my notes and how I figured they would play it, because I know them.
Because I'm always a very party-centered person.
What was supposed to happen was she was supposed to find out what the princesses were up to, go to the rest of the party, inform them, and then together they would dip the fuck out and go about their plan to try to rewrite shit before the princesses had a chance to erase it all. That's what was supposed to happen. What happened, sister? I
started plotting with the princesses. They found out. Strife went up to his room and used his doorknob to go to the in-between place.
The lines between
the book castle. And then
I love that, the book castle.
And then took the doorknob off so no one could follow him to go talk to Aesop and Scheherazade. He told them that I was working with the princesses. And then figured out...
And told them what the princesses were planning.
Yeah, figured out that he's pretty sure he could use the sentient ink that he found in there, in the locked room, to...
essentially rewrite the world.
Yeah. And so he and... Scheherazade.
You'll get it.
Are, formulating a plan to get the people that Pinocchio actually trusts there so that they can try to get into that room to get that ink. So then he comes back late to dinner.
I want to point out, during him and Scheherazade talking and her giving him this plan, he looks me dead in the face. He says, "I know what you're doing." I was like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "You're trying to get me to do the story you want to do." And I'm like, "That's why we're here. That's what I've been spending all this time prepping. Are you coming with the intent of fucking my story?"
I guess.
I think he does. At least subconsciously.
Right?
We love you, Strife, if you're watching this.
He's like, "I wonder how much shit I can blow up."
I'm telling you. So he's like the Joker. He just wants to watch my world burn.
Right. So he gets there and starts having a vague discussion with me and Cinderella, and fibbing on how he got some of his intel. And then he's just like, "You know what? Screw it," and completely confronts Cinderella.
Just looks at her and goes, "I heard you. I heard everything you said." And at first she tries to play it off. She's like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "You're gonna erase everything?" And at that point they knew the jig was up, and she's just like, "Okay, look." She got dead fucking stoic.
And here's another part Nitro didn't plan on. He managed to negotiate with her to give a week for them to try to fix things and rewrite our stories to where everyone can have the good life they deserve, including the princesses, before the princesses enact their plan of erasing existence. And
with the caveat that if he couldn't do it in a week, they would go forward with their plan regardless.
And sent me with them anyways. They
wanted a man on the inside.
To make sure they didn't stab us in the back. So not only did I fuck up by joining the princesses.
Now she's a double agent.
And Strife fucked up by going back to the fucking lines between. Then he got more fucked up by getting this fucking arrangement done.
Oh yeah, and they were supposed to steal Pinocchio's book.
Yeah.
That didn't happen.
I wasn't even going to do that. I was going to tell them about his doorknob and have us steal that to go to the lines between. I was also going to poison the group.
She's fucking evil.
I'm going back to my original Cthulhu days, apparently.
I'm telling you.
Oh, shit. So we did that, and then we found out we needed to go... Oh, the next morning I used my magic mirror to find the goose, which I screwed up the first time. I get to use the magic mirror 3 times a day, and I screwed up the first time. I said, show me the goose, and it showed me the gander. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do it a second time. If this next try that I'm thinking of doesn't work, we're just done for the day because I'm saving this last one. And I said, show me the golden goose, and I got the right one this time. So we found out we had to go to the Land of Giants.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when they hooked the Snow Queen's horses onto the front of the horses attached to the carriage to guide us in the right direction faster. And
Yeah, you got there in a couple hours.
yeah, Puss put his golden bridle on the stubborn one of the 2 horses and made the telepathic link with him. And he was a dick. That's a girl?
Her name is Clara. You guys didn't ask her.
She was a dick. So we went to the Land of Giants. We actually ended up climbing this mountain, and we ended up on a cloud, and we found this little
And you
sprout.
saw no giants there.
Right, and so we got confused, but we found this little sprout, and we looked through the clouds, and we realized it was the tip of the beanstalk. So we climbed down and found out that the Land of Giants means it's a bunch of little mini people, and we're the giants. And that's where he ended it.
With war horns blowing.
Dorian was so fucking confused, and I was like, okay, have you seen Gulliver's Travels?
He said no.
I was like, okay, have you seen Night at the Museum? He's like, yeah. I was like, you know the little cowboy, the little Spartan guy? He's like, yeah. I was like, that's them. We're the Night Guard. And he goes, oh. So that's what
I don't think
we did.
anyone saw that one coming.
No, I was expecting to see giant people like
I
what Puss saw
expected-
crashing into the castle.
I actually expected you to catch on the minute y'all peeked through the clouds and saw the beanstalk
Really?
going down. Because you're looking at it now from the giant's perspective. It's
Yeah.
not how you expected to see that angle.
In hindsight, I should have pieced that together. But I think by that point, my brain was just running on fumes from piecing together everything else for everybody.
Yeah.
Like, I was the fucking puzzle master tonight. I swear to God.
That's why I was like, yeah.
I wasn't supposed to join this late in I wasn't supposed to join at all.
Yeah.
But, I'm not going to be able to play with the other group for reasons I won't get into on camera.
Personal reasons.
But, I was talking to Nitro.
Shout
about
out
that.
to Nexus and SQ and all them.
Yeah. So I was talking to Nitro about that, and he was like,
Because
I
it would
was
help
like-
me a lot.
yeah, I was like, well, I could still come with them since I'm not going to be able to play anyways, and I'll just sit behind the screen and help you. That way I can get some more GM experience.
You know
And
what
at first
would
he was
help?
like, okay, and then he was like, actually, what you could do is you could run Sleeping Beauty. And I was like, I mean, can I do that this late in? He's like, absolutely.
But
because
she's been with the party the whole
Yeah,
time.
and he's like, I've been running her as an NPC. She is necessary to the story arc. You can catch on hella fucking fast. And
I think you did.
and he's like, and I think you'll like all the shit she can do. We don't have Red, but we do have Sleeping Beauty, and it would take an NPC off my hands. And I was like, okay, let's do it.
Are you glad you did?
I am so fucking glad. He was laughing so hard at me. I was trying to find a good balance of how you had explained her personality of Giselle from Enchanted,
Mhm.
mixed with her losing hope and seeking refuge with the princesses. I was
Right.
trying to find that balance. I don't know if I did that well, but I tried.
Final thoughts before we wrap up?
Next session, please.
Besides that.
I like, there's a lot of twists and turns. There's a lot of shit you don't see coming. The implications can really fuck with you. Like, the hot dogs, he had explained to us that the hot dogs at the one place, if we
That's Toy
had taken the Sword of Truth to it
Mm-hmm.
and asked what was in the hot dogs, it would have said technically donkey. And that doesn't seem like anything troublesome, except when you stop and think about the story of Pinocchio and what Treasure Island is. The children were being turned into donkeys, which means these kids that Pinocchio was around
That he went to school with.
were turned into donkeys and then grinded up into hot dogs. So you're basically eating children.
Yep.
And it's one of those that if you don't stop and think about,
It doesn't sound that bad.
but when you do, it's
And I told you it was gonna happen.
Yeah, and like, I was the only one to fucking think about it when you said technically donkey. I thought Strife was gonna put it together because he is so familiar with Pinocchio's backstory, and I was like, oh my god.
And I believe I had mentioned when you guys first got there, I was like, I told Strife, I was like, this is where your friends were turned into donkeys.
Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh my god. And all three
She's like,
of them.
does that mean you're eating children? And they're like, what?
Doyen's like, what are you talking about? And Tink's like, huh? And even Strife goes, what? I'm like, the kids were turned into donkeys. And if it's technically donkey, it's the donkeys on the island. And that's when it clicked with Strife. And he goes, oh god.
Like I said, the horror aspect is more or less in the implications of the lore.
And when you stop and think about it, it's fucked. It's really fucking fucked. But if you don't take the time to think about it, it's just gonna fly right over your head. And I overanalyze everything in these games because
she thinks if it comes out of my mouth, it has to be important.
I do that for a reason because 90% of the time, if I think that it's a throwaway line and I ignore it, it comes back to be important later. Yeah. So I've gotten in the habit of just analyzing.
Like Egg saying his tea tasted bad.
So I've gotten in the habit.
Or chronomancy was the most powerful magic.
So I've gotten in the habit now that whenever he says something, especially if he gets a certain look, I start analyzing and I start, like, the wheels start turning. Like, okay, where has this been brought up before? Has it been brought up before? Does this connect to anything? And I start trying to see if it pieces with anything. And sometimes I'll be like, okay, no, I might have to come back to it later, but for right now it's not piecing. And sometimes it's like, that sounds vaguely familiar, but okay, wait, I wonder if that's like this, like connected to this, you know? And then other times it's like, instant.
Something we did skip. Do you remember why you're looking for the goose?
Because it's the gander and the goose aren't supposed to be in the same place at the same time, and we're fairly certain the goose is the only one that can help us figure out how to be rid of the gander.
Mm-hmm. And the goose is the only one that has the power to undo the gander's curse,
which is corrupting everything.
No. His wishes. Henry has one wish left.
Yeah.
He is going to find the goose to have her help him get that third wish off.
I don't know if that is the main goal for finding the goose anymore, because if you recall...
No, I said that's Henry's goal.
Yeah. Which we pointed out that if Strife gets that ink, and that is, like, makes him, like, God level with that book, he could just rewrite the fucking gander and save Henry's life anyways.
Yeah, but
we can't guarantee that. It's a possibility.
Like, if you lose the final battle, you're fucked.
Right, so it's best to have all pieces.
Because if y'all lose, that means the ending is going to be either going back to what the fairies want, or everything goes away.
Right. It's like one of those better safe than sorry situations.
Mm-hmm. So, any questions? Things that were left maybe unanswered?
I'm trying to think.
Something that you don't think is going to come up in the next episode. I mean,
well, you already told us what we missed out on getting from Ursula.
I didn't give you the info, but I told you what...
The questions, I mean.
Yeah.
Can we get that info from anyone else?
It's possible.
Are we going to run into her at all again?
I don't know.
Okay.
You can probably get a lot of it from the goose. It was about the goose and the gander.
Right. Oh, there is one thing we forgot to mention.
What?
When I used the mirror to find the golden goose,
mm-hmm.
it looked back at me through the mirror and spoke to me, mm-hmm. which has never happened with that mirror before. That's not how that mirror works.
Which tells you one thing. Whatever the goose is, she's fucking powerful.
Oh, yeah. More powerful than the gander, because when it picked up the gander did not pick me up.
At all.
But the golden goose did. Like, she looked dead at me and was like, oh, hi, dear. Like, sweet as pie.
Being tied down, but very calm.
and you heard someone hollering, the beast is talking, and then it glitched out. But that's one thing we left out. But the goose is more powerful than the gander by far.
Oh yeah.
But that's our next mission, is we're trying to get this goose, and then we'll be heading to the lines between, I believe, for the ink.
And then that'll be it.
I don't know
this campaign.
We've still got to worry about the stepmother being out there, which it helps having Cinderella and Pinocchio as allies, though, because they have that mutual enemy, that mutual hatred for stepmother. And I'm just calling her stepmother because that's all she's known as, is the wicked stepmother.
Without looking at any of the shit on it.
Yeah. But she is not even looking like a person anymore.
Oh, yeah, you want to show them her
this
mini?
Is what the wicked stepmother looks like now. It's just an amalgamation of...
She's consumed so many characters that she's becoming the stories.
Yeah, it's just an amalgamation of parchment and words made to form a humanoid figure.
Yeah.
A monstrous humanoid figure.
It's creepy looking.
It is. It's like haunting.
So.
And she about fucked up Aesop and fucking... I can't pronounce the other one's
Aesop and Scheherazade.
Yeah,
they were looking fucked up afterward.
They were fucking...
They were fighting her off while the rest of the party escaped last episode. And by the time Pinocchio got back to check on them, they were fucked. They were bloody and bandaged and all kind of shit.
I thought that was 3 PHBs. I was going to be like, tell me they did not leave their fucking
That's my
books.
core books. So, but that was it for this session.
That was... What session is this for?
4, yep.
Session 4 of Never After.
So...
What's our land supposed to be called again? Because you mentioned it.
The Happily Ever After.
Yeah, it's supposed to be the Happily Ever After, but it turned into Never After because of the corruption.
When it started merging with other worlds.
Like, right now, we're a combination of the Grimm Fairy Tales and the Mother Goose Lullabies.
Mm-hmm.
And other stuff is starting to seep in, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct. And it's reflected in the door that leads
the door
to
is
your
an
world and the
amalgamation
lines
of multiple
between.
doors, and it's all fucking janked up. I have to use your bathroom.
Go right ahead. So we're going to
let
go
you
ahead
sign
and
off.
Yeah, do that.
Whoop, whoop.
So we will see you guys in 2 weeks with episode 5, the penultimate episode of Never After.
Is that going to be the final session?
No, penultimate means next to last.
Oh, okay. So we've got 2 more then.
Yes.
So
We've got session 5 and then the finale.
So I'm guessing next session will be the goose and getting to lines between and getting the last bit of info we need gathered together, and then session 6 will be the final battle.
Yes.
Okay.
So you know the plan now? See you then. Whoop whoop.